Welcome to the Business Spotlight podcast. My name is Kay Cote, and I'm your host for today's episode. And today on the show, we have Dean Jargo, CEO of Fair Market Health. And we're going to be diving into his business, his journey in business, best practices that he's learned, and challenges that he's faced to give you that inside look to what it's like to grow and operate a business. Welcome, Dean. So great to meet you. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
Of course, me too. But before we dive into all things business, I'd love to share with our audience a bit about you. So take us back as far as you'd like and share a bit about yourself.
Well, I'll start with the fact that I have a wife and two kids now in college. I'm a finance guy by training, an accounting degree, and spent most of my 30 plus year career working in CFO and corporate finance and mergers and acquisition type roles. And I didn't know anything about healthcare or the business I'm currently running up and until getting into this business. So yeah, I'm a finance guy by training.
Oh, amazing. So at the business you're at now at Fair Market Health, how did you get into the role? Is it something you acquired or you rose up in the company? How did that come to
Yeah,
be?
yeah, great question. The business was actually started by a good friend of mine who I've known for 25 plus years. And he is a local doctor in town where I live, Wichita, Kansas. And he and another doctor came up with generally the idea of fair market health. It's pivoted a few times over the years, but they came up with the first idea of fair market health. And I was an advisor to those two doctors. I was helping them from a business strategy standpoint. And the more I got involved in the business, I was still working a corporate finance job, but the more I was helping these two doctors in their startup of this business, the more I impassioned I became about the business and the people we were helping. And so after a few years, I decided, you know what, I want to go do this thing full time and, jumped into the role.
Oh, amazing. Okay, so you talked about there's a founder and then yourself, and is there any others in your ownership structure, or how does that look?
Yeah, we've done three fundraising rounds over the last several years, the last 4 years. And we've raised about a $3.5 million in total capital. And the reason we need that capital is we're building a technology suite, and that technology powers our business. And so we need to invest in that technology to drive our business forward.
Oh, definitely. So there's some investors involved as well.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, let's dive into kind of what the business is. So share a bit about the company and kind of what you're doing there.
Yeah, so fair market health basically is a two-sided marketplace, not unlike an Amazon or an Airbnb, but instead of selling consumer products or rental homes, we sell healthcare services. And so we are a marketplace where suppliers, which is doctors and any other healthcare service provider, list their services. And what we require is that they list their services at transparent prices. And that is unfortunately revolutionary in terms of the healthcare space. Most healthcare is first delivered, and then we figure out the money part and the price after the fact. Well, we try to change that. We try to make healthcare work exactly like the rest of the economy, and that people know the price of services up front. Our customers are primarily self-insured employers who offer a health benefit plan to their employees and dependents.
Okay, that was going to be my next question was like, who is your like target?
Yep.
So employers who have health plans for their
Yep.
employees.
And employers who are self-insured for that health plan.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, are you primarily working with private practice or are you working with like more not the non-private practice sector?
Yeah, the large health systems. Yeah, great question. Very insightful question. So most of the providers on our marketplace are in fact independent doctors and practices. We're not exclusive to that. We do have some services that are offered through large health systems. But, frankly, one of the problems with our healthcare system is that these large hospital systems, excuse me, have all grown to the size in many markets where they're kind of the only game in town, and so that forces prices up. And so one of the things we found is that if you can redirect patients and plan members to independent doctors, there's a tremendous cost saving opportunity. And not only are costs lower, quality is generally deemed to be higher, and patient satisfaction is also generally higher at independent practices.
Definitely. I'm a nerd about this topic, so this is going to be a fun conversation. And I really love the independent practices, and so this is really great. So, looking at who your company serves now, are you serving your general area, or are you serving like nationwide? What does that look
Yeah,
like?
yeah. So we started the business in Wichita, Kansas, and so we built the business in this local market. But we have now this year expanded nationally, and so we're now operating in about 15 states with many new states and markets coming on. We're demand led in that we will go wherever there is an employer who wants to offer our service to their health plan members. And so we'll pop up in any market where there is an employer interested in adding us.
Oh, that's wonderful. And so, how are you currently? Well, before we get to this question, because it takes a team to make this happen. So I'd like to learn about your team. How many team members are you at currently?
Yeah, there's only five of us in the business, and most of them work on the customer support side of things. And so, as much as we've built we think, intuitive marketplace where people can search and shop for healthcare services powered by our technology, people do occasionally need help. And so, we have live agents, we call them care guides, who are available to help people navigate because most people are not accustomed to buying healthcare services in this way. And when they find out that it exists and they do it, they realize how simple it is. But sometimes the first time through, people need a little hand holding or have a question. And so we have live support agents who can help with that.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, I think it's like this is huge because it's hard enough to go through the regular system. So this is probably a nice ease once they get the hang of it.
That's it. And one of the things we do in our business is we try to create what we call all-inclusive bundles. And so, even if you get something as simple as a colonoscopy surgery, you're likely going to get a bill from the anesthesia group, you're going to get a bill from the physician group, you're going to get a bill from the facility, and that's just confusion that we don't need. So we package all of that together into one service. And that way, when one of our customers buys any surgical service or any other service we offer, they're buying an all-inclusive bundle. They don't have to worry about getting another bill from somebody or somewhere else.
Oh yeah, that's like the worst feeling when you're getting these bills and you're like, you think you got them all, and then all of a sudden you get the ambulance bill or the, whatever bill,
Yep.
and you're like, yeah, so this is a great solution. Now I'll get back into the question I was going to ask, which was how are you marketing? Especially you've got your client base and you also have your physicians and your clinics. So
Yep.
how are you marketing to each of them?
Yeah, so on the demand side, on the buy side, we market our services through health benefit advisors. And not unlike the physician comment we made earlier, there are a lot of what I call benefit brokers. They're insurance brokers who work for large insurance agencies. That is not typically our customer. We typically look for the more independent, more innovative health benefit advisors, and they operate truly as advisors. We sell our products, first to them, but also through them into the self-funded employers that they work with.
Okay, okay, wonderful. And then how are you marketing to the general like your the clients? Like what's that look like? Or is that kind of a word of mouth, referrals?
Yeah. A lot of what we do is frankly LinkedIn and LinkedIn content. We don't even actually do that much advertising on LinkedIn. We primarily just put out content talking about the service that we provide and what we do. And that really has driven, I'd say, all of our growth. And there is some word of mouth that happens because once you have a positive experience with one customer, they're going to tell another customer. And so there's definitely a lot of that. But LinkedIn and content creation has been the key to our growth for sure.
Oh, definitely. Now, when was the company acquired? I didn't ask that earlier, but when was the company started, I should say.
Yeah, so we started the business in 2018, and then it wasn't until in 2018 it was kind of a direct to consumer business. So we were selling not to self-insured employers, but to individuals who were shopping for healthcare services. And we still offer that as a what I call a byproduct business. But our core business now, which we started in 2020, is reaching out to self-insured employers.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question. You may get this sometimes. Did COVID impact how you do business, or how did COVID impact
Yeah,
business?
for sure, because there was a lot less medical services being acquired during COVID. So, our volumes definitely did drop during 2020 and parts of 2021, but we've also seen it kind of spring back because that demand doesn't really go away. It just gets deferred.
Mhm.
And so I'd say we're kind of back on a normal trajectory at this point.
100%. And I could see even more influx of business due to people being aware of health and health
Exactly.
conscious as we move into
Exactly.
now we're moving in that trajectory. So
Yep.
now I'd like to dive into, as business owners, CEOs, it's lonely sometimes, and you're answering questions to yourself, and it's hard to start a business, to grow a business. And so I love to share a transparent look at challenges business owners are faced because it just shows we're not alone. We're all working through it.
All
So,
right.
what is something you're currently challenged with in business?
I'd say the biggest thing for our business is not the demand. We're getting more inbound interest, frankly, than we can probably keep up with, which is great. Our challenge is more on the supply, which goes back to the question you asked earlier, is how do we market to or identify independent doctors, to join our marketplace and offer their services. And that, frankly, has been a challenge because doctors, I think by design, have made it very difficult for people to, get to them and access them. They're all very busy and they're not looking for, extra phone calls or extra emails in their day. And so they've put up, I think, a lot of walls, understandably, to keep a lot of that out. And so that adds a challenge to our business for sure.
Definitely. That's so what are some ways you're remedying that? Is there systems in place, or how are you working on that?
Yeah, so we're actually right now experimenting with some AI tools that help us identify independent doctors because there's not a list somewhere that exists somewhere that tells people this doctor is employed by a large health system and this doctor works as part of an independent practice. And there's some things you can do to infer if a doctor is truly independent. And we use AI tools to help us with that. And then we also are now experimenting with AI tools to help us with the outreach. There's a lot of talk about AI agents that can, make phone calls and do those kinds of things. And so we're beginning to experiment with some of that technology as well.
Oh, I bet that's been fun in a way, or like you're like, oh, I have this new technology. How can we use it?
Yep.
How can we grow it? And
Yep.
yeah,
It's actually impressive how good it is already. I wouldn't say it's perfect, but it's impressive how good it is.
yeah, I use it every day.
Yep. Same.
Oh, so okay, now looking at the future of the company, where do you see the company growing to? What are your goals for like the next 3 years?
Yeah. I think our business fairly easily will 10x within the next 1 to 2 years. We've already doubled our business for next year, starting in January. And so we got a whole year of growth and marketing to come. So I think, yeah, 10x in the next 12 to 18, maybe 24 months seems like a pretty easy goal for us at this point because as I'm sure you're aware, you know, people are frustrated with the cost of healthcare and they're looking for solutions and we're one of the I think best solutions that people are going to find in terms of just buying healthcare at fair, affordable, and transparent prices.
Oh, definitely. And as you're preparing for this growth, how are you preparing? Because with growth comes a lot more just responsibilities, more,
Yeah.
more hours in the day, more resources needed. How are you preparing for that?
Yeah. Well, it's one of the reasons that we're investing as much as we are into the technology platform because the technology is ultimately what allows this business to be scalable, right? It's an online marketplace. And as soon as you put the services on the marketplace as services people can buy, now you've got a shoppable marketplace that people can go and transact and get the services that they need. So technology is really how we power our growth for sure.
Definitely. I can see that being a huge factor with what you're working on. And, looking at your, kind of going back to the employees, is that something as you grow, do you see yourself expanding your employees?
Yeah, for sure. We're always going to need and always want to offer live customer support to our clients because again, we don't want anyone to get stuck or frustrated. And so yeah, we'll always be scaling the people side with the technology as the business grows, no question.
And how are you finding the right employees for your company?
One of the things we've actually started experimenting with a little bit is international employees. There's a lot of employees, working in other countries because our business is an online business, right? So I don't need anybody in an office to perform most of the roles that we have. And so we have several employees in foreign countries that are very experienced, speak excellent English, very hardworking, and yeah, just do a great job for us. And I like the fact that their holidays are different than U.S. holidays, and there's a lot of advantages to kind of diversifying the labor pool from that standpoint.
Definitely. That's a great market to look at or great, opportunity.
Yeah.
Uh, and so looking at the company now, who do you want to see or like grow in your company now? Are there emerging leaders already in your kind of like who you're working with? Do you see a lot of development happening there?
Yeah, for sure. In fact, the young woman who runs our customer support team, she started as a customer support person herself. She was actually the first one that we hired, and she has just grown and developed and taken on more and more and more responsibility to the point where, she's critical to our success because she does and knows so much about our business. And yeah, it's been very fun to watch her kind of grow with the business.
That's cool. I like that. It's fun to see that when people start to like blossom within a
You bet.
company.
You bet.
This has been a great conversation so far. Now I want to take us into our rapid fire Q&A.
Great.
All right, we got four questions coming at you. And question number one is, what is a key to success for you?
I think for me, it's nurturing all the relationships in my life, and that includes both personal relationships with my family and friends, but obviously the business relationships as well, both the internal team and then also our customers, but suppliers and customers. And I think the more I focus on nurturing and developing those relationships across the board, I just think that drives so much success in my life and in my business.
Definitely. I love that. Number two is, what is a piece of advice you have for other business owners?
Oh man, there's so much advice to give, but people talk about balance. Sometimes I think that's a little overrated sometimes because, t time and circumstances dictates how and where you devote your attention. And so, yeah, I'd say just hire great people. I mean, everything gets easier when you've got good people working for you. And so I think talent retention and development is probably number one for me.
Yeah, I could that's one I hear often and it's so true. I look at balance, I use the word harmony. I
Yeah,
because
better.
it does ebb and flow and it's
Yep.
finding like a good rhythm with rather than it's never going to be this. It's always going to be kind of like this.
Yep. That's a great word. I'm going to start using that.
Yes. And question number three is what is a like piece of content that's resonated with you recently? It could be a book, a podcast, just anything.
Yeah, I'd say that I just started, so I'm not all the way through yet, but I picked up, I like reading classics. And the one I'm reading now is Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. And, it's become popular because of folks like Ryan Holiday and others. But yeah, it's just the wisdom that is in that book and insights. Yeah, it's a great business book, is what I would call it.
I just looked it up. I'm going to read that because yeah, that's huge. Yeah, I've business owners and to stay on that level, on that high vibe, it's the groundedness and those things. Yeah, I'm excited to check that out.
Yeah, I think you'll like it.
And the final question, and feel free to take a little time on this one,
Sure.
even though it's rapid fire. The question is, if I gave you a magic wand and you could improve one aspect overnight, about your business, what would it be?
Oh, that's a great question. I think for me, probably two things. One, I would want if I get two wishes. Number one, I'd want all of Americans to fundamentally understand the difference between health care and health insurance. They get conflated too much in people's minds, and they are very separate concepts, right? Healthcare is, the services that are being delivered to you by doctors, nurses, PTs, et cetera. And health insurance is a financial, catastrophe mitigation tool, and they're different and they have different purposes and they are not the same thing. So that'd be number one. And then I'd say number two is I wish more people understood how misaligned the employee benefit space is in terms of incentives. There's a lot of insurance brokers and large health systems and insurance carriers, they are all, at the end of the day, for-profit entities that want to take money, out of employers' pockets and their employees and put it into their own pockets. And profit isn't fundamentally a bad thing. My problem with is the way that it's done. It's all done in an opaque way, right? Nobody knows the prices of anything until after the fact. People are going bankrupt. I think the statistic is two-thirds of bankruptcies in the U.S. are directly tied to a medical debt. And we got a problem here that we need to address and think about. But insurance is not the solution to the problem. I'd say in conclusion, it's just the people who think we can get people more insurance is going to somehow make them healthier. It's just we've proven over the last 2 decades that is absolutely not true.
Definitely. Well, thank you for answering that. It sounds like education is something that you're very interested in providing to people. So
For
that's very
sure.
cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, well, this has been such a fun conversation. I would love to connect our audience with you and your business. How can people find you online?
Yeah, so our website is fairmarkethealth.com, and the best way to reach me is probably LinkedIn. They're welcome to email me at dean@fairmarkethealth.com, but LinkedIn's a great way to reach out too.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Dean, for our final question today. What is most inspiring to you today?
I'd say that one's pretty easy. I'm inspired by the fact that so many people are talking about healthcare in the US. Many are talking about it because of the affordability crisis, but I think there's just a general movement of people to become more healthy in their own personal lives. And I like that. I'm excited by that and inspired by that.
Ah, well, that inspires me, and I'm sure our audience is inspired by this episode. Thank you so much for just sharing your journey and sharing about your business with me today.
My pleasure.